Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast. Got a big show coming up on November 12th. I'll return to Naked Vine in Chesterfield for my singer-songwriter storytelling showcase featuring Brad Milloway and Joe Forrester of Tree 1-4, along with Josh Witt of Spilly Nelson. If you haven't made it out yet, this is an intimate songwriter show with a acoustic, 3 writers sitting on stools sharing stories behind all your favorite songs. So join us. It's a 7 o'clock start, $10 at the door. And if you haven't been out to Naked Vine yet, you're missing out. This is a great space, a lot of fun out there all the time. And you can come visit them October 18th, Thursday night, as Tony Compton of Les Gruff and the Billy Goat takes the stage. Sorry, October 17th. That's Thursday night, October 17th, as Tony Compton of Les Gruff and the Billy Goat takes the stage. Friday, October 18th, John Bonham and Friends return out there, so don't miss that one. And on Saturday night, October 19th, a fixture of the St. Louis music scene for the last 40-something years, Jake's Leg will be out there playing acoustic, all your favorite Grateful Dead tunes. So that will be a fun evening for sure. Again, you can find all information and more at nakedvine.net. Be sure to follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I also want to let you know about Heil microphones, Heil Sound. If you haven't been following along, I recently got myself a real nice new Heil microphone, recording today's intro on it, and I love it. It's so check out heilsound.com today and get yourself some new gear. I also want to let you know about Joseph Meyer Club. You've been hearing me talk about them for a while now. I'm thrilled to have them a part of this show. They've been a lot of support, and if you go head on over to josephmeyerclub.com today, you can pick up some of their brand new foaming aftershave. I've been using it myself. It's a wonderful product, and I think you'll enjoy it. So pick some up today. Always free shipping there. And if you enter my code RPPJMC20 during checkout, you can receive an exclusive 20% off. So can't beat that deal. Again, treat yourself right. Pick up some brand new foaming aftershave, and let them know Shane sent you. All right, everybody. That's it for me. If you'd like, you can reach out. Feel free to email me at rockpaperpodcast@gmail with any suggestions, or if you'd like a shirt or hat, or just want to say hi or anything, I would love to hear from you. And you can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And people often ask me how they can get involved and support the show in various ways. And the biggest one is, of course, you can purchase some of the merch, again, shirts and hats available, and support these wonderful sponsors that have been helping make this show possible. So get out and support Naked Vine, Joseph Meyer Club, and Heil Sound. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for checking it out, and have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
We're the Cult Sounds, and you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Spread the word.
Join the cult.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast, y'all.
Hey, everybody. Shane Presley here. Rock Paper Podcast coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today with the Cult Sounds. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hey,
Thanks for having us.
thanks for having us.
You all want to properly introduce yourselves for everybody listening?
Yeah, Ryan, you want to start?
I'm Ryan McBride. I play lead guitar.
I'm Jordan Hageman. I play rhythm guitar and a bunch of other stuff.
My name's Bennett. I sing lead vocals. I'm Olivia. I play keys / synth.
Wyatt, I play bass.
With the bass vocals there too.
That's right.
On bass.
I'm Wyatt.
In every facet of my life.
I am the bass.
This is cool. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be hanging with you all. This is. I mean, I guess this is pretty brand new, right? I mean, what?
It is and it isn't.
Yeah.
The band has kind of existed since last Halloween.
Okay.
In a way.
Yeah, we started right here in this room.
Yeah.
Almost a year ago, I guess on Halloween, we recorded and released a cover of a Bauhaus track, Bela Lugosi's Dead.
Yeah.
And that, from there, Ryan and Jordan and I kind of started, we were like, this is good, this is cool, this is fun. We'd always, all of us had kind of played music for a long time separately and had kind of talked about the idea of starting a band but never really done it. Especially since I was living out in Indiana at the time. But from there we started kind of, Jordan would write kind of the skeletons of, just guitar parts and drum tracks and stuff in Bandcamp, and he would send it to us, and we started kind of fleshing stuff out just over email and Facebook and stuff, and it kind of started growing into a big collection of songs now that, and we were like, we need to do something with this, like it was...
Yeah, I think we realized we bit off a little more that we can chew in the beginning because the songs that we made were very ambitious. So I think that's
just the three of us. Yeah,
that's why it took so long for things to really get going, because we were like, we need a keyboard player, we need a competent drummer, we need a bassist, we need to fill in all these gaps for these songs to really give them the attention they deserve.
Yeah.
And since Ben was in Indiana, originally the idea was like, this can just be like a studio project where we release stuff, and then we were just gonna like do some songs, and then I ran into a shitty part of my life, and I started just writing like Ben said, a bunch of skeletons of songs, and I'd send them to these guys, and I'd be like, what do you guys think? And they were like, all right, this is cool. Like Ryan would be like, I've got all these ideas for this, and Ben was like, I instantly have all these awesome vocal ideas, and he would send us like scratch vocals and like lyrics, and we were like, damn dude, this is, can you move back? So Ben did move back, finally, and it was decided. We were like, okay, let's make this a real band. And how many songs did we have? Maybe 30 or 40 songs that we wrote.
Something at
least skeletons for
bits of stuff. Yeah, and we've been
including just little bits. I mean, maybe 50 or 60 songs.
Yeah, and every time we think we've hit an end point, and Jordan's like, I'm done. I can't write any more music. And then 2 days later, he's like, okay, I've got something new.
That happened the other day. I was like, I'm not writing any more fucking songs. The demo's done. We have these 5 songs. I'm not writing any more shit. And then I showed up at Ryan's for practice, and Ben was late, and I was like, oh shit, I got an idea. So then Ryan and I and Wyatt showed up, and we wrote a song in an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's like our favorite songs.
And now it's like one of our favorite songs, and we play it.
We played it Monday.
We played it one day at our first
from
show.
writing the song, from conceptualizing the song to playing
like
it live.
3 weeks.
Not even.
Yeah,
it was like a
not
week.
even.
Yeah.
It took like seriously one practice to get that.
Yeah, that was
done.
ridiculous. Like it was just like, you can't really put a cap on that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
And some of these songs we've been working on for 6 months,
which is awesome, because like I worry I'm like, oh my god, like what if we hit a point where we're not gonna,
not creative
what if these are the best songs, and then it just keeps coming, like we just keep writing more stuff, which is awesome. I love it.
We can't stop.
Yeah, I always think that's fun too. Like when you kind of get those like early versions of a song, like, hey, we just worked on this week in practice or whatever. And I've been at shows. I don't know, it could be just saying that, but they show up and they're like, I just wrote this on the way to the show. I had this idea, and like
I love that.
And so it's fun to hear like the process, like you're being a part of it, the experience before it goes to the studio and everything else, and like. So I always find that interesting. Like I heard this song this way, but then now on the record, it's got polished out and finalized.
Yeah, like, I remember when they said they just wrote that.
Yeah. So.
See, the funny thing is, like sometimes a song like that, like "Nail in the Coffin," one of our song, that song that we were talking about, it's like that song already existed. It really
just kind of like came out like we just like immediately it was just like that's what this song is. Like, it was
like when Ryan and I were just like sitting around waiting for Ben and Wyatt, and Wyatt had showed up, and I was just like, I don't know. And I just started like putting drum stuff down, and then I was like, I didn't even like have an idea for guitar except for the intro, and then I just kind of like kept going.
It just, yeah.
And then
it
I
just
recorded
formed
nearly the
itself.
whole damn song, and I was like, well, shit, okay, I guess this is a song.
Yeah.
And it was really weird because like some songs we've been working on for literally 6 months.
Yeah,
Some
or
of these,
more.
like Anatomy of a Car Crash, was January. I wrote the original
Maybe-
version of that in January, and then
Maybe
we
even earlier,
we've
yeah.
been
and I just ended up finishing the lyrics on that like a few. I don't know, like maybe a month ago when we recorded it. Like
Yeah,
some
we
stuff
recorded it.
takes a long time, and some stuff just comes out like immediately ready.
Right.
And there's
Strange.
never really like a difference between what's better and what's not. Sometimes you have to like fine tune those ideas, and sometimes it's just like this literally did not need fine tuning.
Yeah.
This song already existed. We
Yeah.
just had to like fucking do it. You know, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Let's go back even a little bit farther before the conception of this. How's this group? How do you all meet and stuff? How do you all know each other?
Well, me and Ben and Ryan, we went to college together. We met freshman year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Webster University.
Yeah, Webster
Yeah,
University.
me and Ben were suite mates at Webster, and our room kind of became like the headquarters for
Yeah,
For our
we all-
hangouts.
we all started hanging out. Jordan makes movies too. He's a talented filmmaker, and that's how we met. We ended up working on a
Yeah.
film together, and
Yeah, Ben and I made a horror movie
during
together.
and
they
during that,
trashed a lot of my dorm rooms.
Yeah, we did.
but yeah, we kind of bonded over our mutual love of different music through that, and
Yeah.
and that was what 7-8 years ago that we all met.
Well, you and I have had like 2 or 3 different iterations of trying to be a band.
We've tried multiple times, and it never really.
Yeah.
I feel like Ryan was the.
Yeah, I had to learn guitar first, and
Yeah.
then that was the last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, Ben
Yeah.
and I tried to start like an alt rock band at one point, and then we tried to do a stoner band, like a stoner rock band, like Clutch
Nothing
or
ever
like
panned
Queen of
out.
Stone Age.
I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
you guys did.
Well, it's because you didn't play guitar.
You guys.
I know. I don't even remember you doing that though.
Yeah, me and Ben played in my parents' garage with Alex Paul.
Yeah, yeah.
And we covered
And then
Queens
you
of the Stone Age
guys
songs.
did Alder.
Yeah, and
for a while.
then me and Ryan were in a death metal band.
Yeah, so Jordan was in a band with Ben. It didn't work out, and then me and Jordan were in a band that didn't work out.
Yeah, and then I was
now
in
all
Traveler
three of
at one
us
point.
We're in a band together, that
and
won't
it's
work
gonna
out.
work.
But yeah, we met in college, and
It's just taken a long time for
Ryan
us to.
and Ben have been a part of every movie I've made. That's how we like started to become friends. And
Yeah.
then like the first night that I actually ever hung out with Ryan and Ben was when we. Do you remember this? We went to Oz nightclub. Do you remember this at all?
Yes, I do.
You guys remember this?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
This is like the first week
I
of
do remember
freshman
that.
year
It was
at
the first
Webster.
time I'd
So it
ever
was
been
like
out somewhere like
2012.
that. Yeah. That was.
That was the first
I
night I
do.
met you guys. We went out dancing.
I did not dance.
Yes, you did. I swear to God, you did.
were there.
You're a liar. You
remember.
danced.
I must have been drunk.
Yes, you were.
And now we're all
all
best
three of us
friends.
were. But then, like, we bonded after like the making of the movie and the first movie that Ben and I did together. We just became closer and closer friends with the three of us, and like Ryan said, we just hung out at Ryan's all the time, and we did like late night horror movie watch, like viewing parties where we just watched like 6 horror movies until like 4 o'clock in
Yeah.
the morning, and then it's like, all right, gotta go to class in the morning,
Yeah.
because we didn't have anything better to do.
Sure. What about these two?
Wyatt, I had known.
The oddball, yeah.
Yeah, Wyatt, I had known from. You and I met because of
I met-
Traveler, right?
I met him because of Traveler's old band, and then
Yeah.
like I guess 2 months ago, he had a Facebook post that said they were looking for a bass player. So I just hit him
Yeah.
up on Facebook, and then came to practice, and I've been here ever since. So, but yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I'm
it's
trying to
been-
remember.
it's been
How did
great.
you and I actually meet, though? What show was it? It was
Facebook
some Traveler. Was it okay? It was some
internet.
Traveler thing. Okay.
It was Traveler though, like a couple of years ago.
Were you at his release show when they did their album
Probably.
at
At
Firebird?
Firebird?
Yeah, it was at Firebird.
2 summers ago? 2 years, summers ago?
Yeah. Damn, you see, you never know.
Yeah. Okay.
I probably met you guys years ago. We just never.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, probably.
I've done that, and I've even talked about it on the show. Like it's happened on this show, like where I'm like talking about a show, and I'm like, I remember, and again, I probably showed up late and I missed them, so I didn't know they were there. But they were like, I was talking about a certain show, and I'm like, yeah, there was another fourth band that I can't remember. Like, we were that fourth band. Oh, shit, sorry.
Whoops.
Yeah, really, sometimes I put my foot right in my mouth.
Well, and Olivia.
You.
Yeah, I mean, you introduced him. Why do I have to talk? Anyway, Ben and I, the lead singer, and I have been dating for 3 years now, and I was the reason he moved to Indiana and didn't do this band in the first place.
Yeah, so you're to blame.
Yeah, I'm
now
to
she's
blame.
in the band,
And now
though, so
I'm in the band.
It happened for a reason. He had to move to Indiana, find us a
Yeah.
keyboard player.
Exactly.
Olivia was
And then
kind
move
of
back.
Olivia kind of pushed me to move back. Like she was
Yeah.
when like we started writing all this stuff, and she was like, "This is good. Like you need to, like if this is what you want to do, you need to do it." And I mean, Olivia plays
Everything.
everything. Olivia plays keys, bass, guitar, like tons of stuff. And so
Good shit.
that was, I mean, when we first got together, like we wanted to start a musical project, and it was kind of the same deal with like
Yeah.
Jordan and Ryan and I,
Kind of
that we
hard
didn't
with two
have.
people.
Yeah, it's with you need a group, you need a bunch of people, and so that never came together with us. And then moving back here, like things just all kind of fell into place with all of us. Like
Yeah.
it's
I'm really lucky to be able to play music with these guys.
Yeah,
Honestly.
very cool. Well, let's give them a little sneak peek of what you all have been up to. You just recently, in the last few weeks, I guess, you all have been releasing a couple of singles out there to give everybody. We mentioned a couple of titles that you've been working on, but let's drop in "Anatomy of a Car Crash," and this is the latest single that's been released.
Yeah.
And let's talk about this track. How's this come about, guys?
This song is actually not lyrically based on, but based on a car accident I was in about a year ago. Actually coming home from a show. I had seen Alkaline Trio at the pageant, and I got into a car accident on the way home. Somebody hit me from behind, and I hit the car in front of me and stuff like that. And
Totally your fault.
and in my head, when we were starting to write songs, I was like, I want to since I've been in like a not great car crash, I want to capture
As opposed to a really good one.
I want to capture the feeling and sound of being in a car crash. So I was, weirdly enough, actually, I was listening to the song 100 Years by The Cure, and I was playing it and I messed up the main riff. And then I was like, oh, that's different than the actual song. So then I started just playing with it, and that became that main riff of the song. And then did the drums and whatever, and then the keys and the weird choral parts, and then sent it to Ryan and Ben. And Ben immediately came up with that chorus, that anthemic chorus, and immediately that became a song that I fell in love with.
Yeah, it was one of the first things we wrote. It was.
Yeah, I think it was the second song we wrote.
It was really early on, and yeah, we've been. I mean, we've really been in love with this song since we wrote it. I think it's been one of our favorites, and it just took a long time to come into fruition. But I think I'm proud of it. I mean,
that's why it's our show closer.
Yeah.
It ends with that really nice guitar solo from Ryan.
Yeah.
Really
And there's all those, and Ryan did a great job with that guitar solo because
thanks.
he added his own thing to it, but at the same time, like you can definitely hear like little bits of like Blue Oyster Cult in there too.
Yeah, I remember when I wrote it, I'm still learning the guitar, but that was back before
It doesn't sound like he's learning
No,
guitar.
it doesn't.
I mean,
We're all still learning.
yeah, we're all
for 3
getting better every day. But I know I was practicing a lot of guitar solos from other bands, and I remember I would just play that song over and over again to get the solo down, and I would just kind of like improvise something. And I remember learning the solo from Ritual by Ghost, and I just started at that same note that they started from, and from there I just went up the fretboard instead of down, and then it sounded really cool, and then I just messed around with it, and
Turned out
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that sounded cool as it was, and then I didn't know Ben had the idea to do the vocal thing that he does at the end there at the beginning of Ryan's guitar solo.
That came from Ryan's guitar. I
Yeah.
just followed him, and yeah.
Yeah, you followed the chord structure, and Ben on the recording too, and live as well. But speaking to the recording, really haunting, like ghostly vocal performance after the car crash, like as if like this ghost is like talking or something like that. It's fucking creepy and cool.
Spooky.
It's spooky. Creepy vocals.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned being your show closer, and just the other day you all had your first show, right?
Monday, yeah, we had our first show
We
out.
played
yeah.
at Foo Bar.
Yeah, it was great.
It was awesome.
Yeah, we
We
ended
had
up
a lot of
headlining.
fun.
It was my first show ever for any band.
Yeah, it was
Same
my
with
first
the-
show too.
Yeah, we ended up headlining, which was weird.
So was y'all just nervous, or did everything?
I was very nervous. I don't know about you guys, but
I wasn't that
I felt
nervous.
very comfortable.
I have
I played a
terrible
lot.
stage fright usually, but I'm surprisingly confident in this
Yeah.
time. Like it was the first time I'd ever gotten up
Yeah.
on stage and was like, "Oh man, this is gonna suck." Like I didn't feel that way.
It reminded me of like jazz band concerts. To be honest, like,
In a weird,
before.
in a weird way.
I just know the first song starts with me playing by myself. On the
And then you
stage.
just get lost.
All
in it,
eyes
like,
on me,
Yeah.
and I know I messed up those
30
first
minutes
couple
later, though,
chords.
you're done, and you're
But
like,
yeah,
"What happened?"
I settled in
don't
nicely,
remember.
and yeah, I think the rest of the show went pretty smoothly.
yeah.
Well, what kind of makes it easier, at least I don't know, I can't really speak for you guys, but for me, having the cult sounds, we each have we dress up on stage and we wear makeup and stuff like that a little bit, and we're not exactly playing a character, but we're not ourselves when we're on stage.
Yeah.
So it's like putting on more of a performance.
It's like hiding behind something else that you're
Yeah.
not necessarily putting yourself out as
Hiding
much.
behind the smoke.
Yeah, well, yeah, we did have a heavy duty smoke machine too. We have like on stage props.
Yeah, I think
and
we
stuff
shocked
like
the
that.
hell out of Foo Bar with that.
Yeah.
The other bands had fog.
Yeah, no one else had anything. But it was like it was easier to like go up there and like perform as this thing that wasn't like ourselves.
Yeah.
But like a part of ourselves that we don't get to like show. So it's like living a dual personality or dual life. And it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like a very dark version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
I've had my friend Lincoln Durham been on here, and he's sort of this goth Americana writer. Like he writes a lot of very dark subject matter, but in his personal life, he's very happy, very bright, and So it's just like. But I talked to him about how like it is a on stage he does kind of almost become a character, and he writes all this dark stuff to kind of get these thoughts out of his head and stuff, and like it's a therapeutic release to just like
Absolutely, yeah,
get all this
that's-
dark stuff out and stuff.
Yeah, that's part of definitely. I mean, especially with my lyrical process, and I know. I mean, Jordan mentioned a lot of what he writes obviously comes from things in his life. That when we started, it was. I know you were going through like a really bad breakup at the time. We wrote Drowning Lessons, and that kind of inspired that. And I based some of my lyricism off of that. But a lot of it is,
Yeah.
I mean, things that I'm going through in my life, or things that I'm dealing with that I don't really know how to talk to people about, or I don't really know how to deal with personally, so I just write about it, and that comes out. It translates well into this kind of music. I think it's a really good outlet for that.
Yeah, it really
it's
is
therapeutic. You're right.
And I want to actually just compliment Ben because on Drowning Lessons because obviously I when I went through that horrible breakup that I went through, and also just like I lost my job at that point, I really just literally everything that could possibly go wrong in my life
sucked.
did. And and I obviously like talked to Ryan and Ben a lot and communicated with them like how I was feeling at the time, and I mean I helped a little bit with some of the chorus lyrics, but the verses on Drowning Lessons literally conveyed my exact feelings of like how I was feeling at the time, and I feel like Ben just knew. Like I didn't even have to tell him, like he just knew, and that's like how close the three of us are. Like they can pick that up and know exactly. Like I don't even have to, and even now with Wyatt, I don't even have to tell him. He just knows exactly what to play. Like, and I'm just like, shit, dude, you pick everything up. And same with Olivia, because she's a better keyboardist and piano player and synth player than I ever was. And I wrote a lot of the early stuff as far as like synth and stuff like that. And I'm not very good. She's a lot better than me.
That's not true. I wouldn't say you're not very good.
Well, I can write it, but I can't perform it.
You're perfectly adequate.
Well, I mean, you're playing guitar. You can't.
Well, even if I was sitting behind a keyboard, I don't know if I could. I wouldn't.
Well, no, because you'd be holding your guitar.
I wouldn't trust myself to do it. But the point is, like, Drowning Lessons is horribly and like autobiographical for me, and the fact that Ben tapped into that was awesome for me, because it was like, okay, by proxy, Ben got all those horrible negative feelings out of me, and like every time I hear the song and every time we perform it at practice, I feel that much better. So I have to compliment him. And like every time we play it, I feel just that much better about the situation I was in.
Nice.
So I just have to really compliment Ben over and over again for that.
Yeah.
When
Well, you want to find some more The Cult sounds, you can check out Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, wherever you're getting your music. And
Tidal, for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Sorry, Jay-Z.
You're welcome. Somebody listening to this does, though.
And, of course, follow along on Facebook and Instagram. Keep up to date with all the show info and everything. Let's also drop in or mention we have another show coming up. We just had the first live one, and of course you can catch them on October 20th, and that'll be at Foam.
Yeah, it's at Foam.
And over on Cherokee and Jefferson, in St. Louis, Missouri, with Gary Robert and the community. And you said Bellhead out of Chicago.
Yeah, Bellhead.
They're cool.
They're really good.
They're a cool band.
They're
2 bass and a drum machine.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's dark post punk, and then like there's like a weird industrial element to it because it is a drum machine.
Definitely
It's
check
really
them
cool.
out. Gary Roberts too. I know you said you know him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
for
he's been on the show.
Yeah, he's cool. They've got a cool, sort of very Lou Reed, Iggy Pop kind of 70s punk.
Yeah, mixed with like Joy Division and Sisters of Mercy too. Like they're a perfect match. We actually got in contact with him before we actually were booked on the show. I don't remember how it was.
Just because I think
He just sent you.
He wants to-
a friend
I think
request, right?
we just got in contact through Facebook and we were like, hey, we've got a similar sound, like I really dig your sound, and he was like, yeah, you good, like we'll have to play a show together, blah, and and it just came together through that. I think we were getting booked for this show and suggested them as a good fit for the bill.
I believe they're from like Cape Girardeau area or something
Originally,
like that.
I think
like,
so. Yeah.
But then
Do they live down there full time?
I believe so. And then I think they travel up to St. Louis a lot to play.
play out a lot.
They play a lot of
Yeah, they
shows.
play like every night almost.
It feels like that. Yeah.
Good job, Gary.
But,
Your music's cool.
Yeah.
But I guess we should talk a little bit about like what our sound is for people who don't even know who we are.
Well, they've also heard these songs now. I think they got a little
That's
bit of
true.
an idea. But yeah, like we can definitely talk about like because you guys definitely kind of tapped in. You're mentioning the characters, the fog, a little bit of makeup and all this stuff. You definitely have more of a darker, sound. So where do you guys discover that this is what you want to go for?
I think it's a good middle ground. Like if you drew a Venn diagram of all of our musical tastes, this would be kind of a genre that we all kind of fall into naturally.
I think the best way to describe us is just calling us dark rock.
Yeah.
Because-
We all definitely come from a different place, I think, musically.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as our personal influence and stuff, there's a lot of middle ground with what we like. But
Yeah, there's a lot of what we like.
I mean, Jordan was talking about like Joy Division, a lot of like 80s new wave for him. I know Ryan.
Definitely,
you're
yeah.
like very into a lot of heavier metal, like White Ward and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's
All like the very minimalistic aspect of those like 80s new wave bands I really am attracted to. Those guitar leads that really cut and
your guitar solo in Anatomy of a Car Crash also, while reminding me of like Blue Oyster Cult and stuff, reminds me of Tears for Fears.
Exactly.
lot.
Bands like that.
A lot, like a
much.
darker Tears
Yeah.
for Fears.
Yeah.
So like I think like we can tap into like that late 70s, early 80s like post-punk, goth rock stuff and new wave, but also like the 90s industrial stuff because we all like Nine Inch Nails and like
I think each of us kind of brings our
Manson.
own thing to the table at the
Yeah.
same time. That like where we have this similar middle ground, we all kind of branch out into our own things and bring that to the table too. So we're not all doing the same thing, We don't
Yeah.
all have the exact same influences, and each of us can kind of influence the others into different directions.
That's
which
why I
is
like
cool.
our songwriting process too. Like it usually starts with Jordan. He'll come up with the basic outline of a song, and then he'll kind of like leave it to us to kind of punch it up in our own unique ways.
yeah.
And
yeah,
we
and
kinda
things,
form our
things
sound
turn
that
into
way.
stuff that you don't really expect.
yeah, you're like, oh, I didn't expect you to go in that direction.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, like, well, an Anatomy of a Car Crash is a good example, or even like Drowning Lessons. Drowning Lessons was my take on Joy Division. And then, like, Ryan added a lot of really cool elements of just sounds and, like, textures that I would have never really thought of. And also, then Ben came along, and Ben and I are huge AFI fans, so there's a lot of AFI in everything we do. So, like,
Definitely.
there's, like, that aspect of the old and then the stuff that we grew up on, like the punk
The more
and
modern,
emo stuff,
yeah.
like Alkaline
Post-punk
Trio,
kinda
AFI, My Chemical Romance, stuff like that.
Yeah,
as
definitely.
well too. So like there's always that aspect of it, and like, you know, pop music too, but just because we like to be catchy while being dark.
Marilyn Manson is my biggest lyrical influence, I
Yeah.
think, as a lyricist. Yeah, that's
I can definitely hear that.
Like that's
Absolutely.
where I get.
As far as like a lot of the metaphors you choose.
That's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
Like
But also, when I think of your lyricism too, I think of like sometimes too, like 60s psychedelic bands.
I could see that. Yeah,
Like
I do a lot of
obviously,
drugs.
like the no, but like
get that on the
like the
record.
Beatles, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, fuck yeah, the Beatles. I love the Beatles.
We all love the Beatles,
That's
so
all- that was-
there's always that aspect of harmony and melody,
Yeah.
and like just a sense of catchiness because we're all huge Beatles fans. I mean,
That's
I can't
true,
really speak
yeah.
for Wyatt. Do you like the Beatles?
Hell yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I think that's
if you
that's
don't.
what really catches me with our music, and what excites me about it is that it's not just like dark, heavy, gloomy rock. Like there's that aspect to it, but it's also got some catchiness and some harmony and some like
Yeah, like if the lyrics were different, the music itself is kind of upbeat at times.
yeah,
It's
almost,
energetic,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, but
punky,
the way
it's
it
also-
kind of clashes with the lyrical content, it
yeah.
gives its own
We're not-
flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like everything that we just literally took everything we like. Like we don't. I think that's why I like what we do, is because more than anything is because we stray away from anything definitive.
Yeah, we don't really hold restraints on ourselves as far as
Yeah.
like what we want to do. Like we have our own kind of sound that we've gotten just from being together, but it's not like we're like, oh, that doesn't really fit with our vibe. Like
Yeah, who cares about that?
Yeah, like we could play with punk bands, we could play with hardcore bands, we could play with electronic bands,
Yeah.
because there's aspects of
limit
that.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's aspects of that to our sound. We could play with metal bands. I mean, hell, Monday, Sonic Candy, they're like a Paramore-esque like pop rock band.
Right.
Vague Topic is like a blues rock band, and then
So good.
a Marionette is like, you know, a little
don't
bit
even
more
know
of that
how I-
modern, like they're like Dance Gavin Dance with like R&B vocals.
very polymath
prog punk.
drumming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like we were the darkest thing there, obviously, which was a little jarring, I'm sure, to some people, but like it didn't feel
It didn't feel
horribly
that out of place. No.
Yeah, because we have little bits of aspects of everything that we like in our sound,
Sure.
at least. So that's why I like working with all of these people here in the room, as well as, you know, Eli, who's not here, and then Max is actually a guy named Max Berglund is going to be filling in with us for drums while Eli's out of the picture for a little while. Just because, you know, we stray away from anything definitive, and we don't really put a restriction on how we sound, because we always just sound like us, because there's just something about it when
Sure.
all of us get together and write something.
Well, I think it's probably cool too that you guys are starting to gear up and getting busy here in October, because like it is, you know, spooky season.
Yeah.
It works well for us in our kind of music.
Yeah, we've talked
Which
about
is
that.
why
Yeah.
I want to play shows every night.
No.
I would love to play shows every
Just
night.
Halloween
for
residency.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween residency.
We've been talking about that like our with our look and our aesthetic and everything, we're gonna come out during October and people are gonna be like, oh, they're doing something special for Halloween.
Nope.
And then like November rolls around and they're like, oh no.
Here, baby.
There's cut to July and we're wearing all black trench coats.
I want to do that for Christmas. I want to do a
Yeah.
Christmas show.
I would
where
not
we're just-
Christmas show.
Yes. it'd
I
be
wouldn't change
amazing.
anything. But also something that we decided too is every Halloween we're gonna release a cover,
Yeah.
like our
Oh,
version of
yeah.
a cover. Like last year we did Bela
yeah,
Lugosi's
we got
Dead.
something cooking
Oh,
up.
yeah.
We've got a special
we got
cover
a
for this
special
year,
thing.
something a little older, something that I think a song that everybody should know at least.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The Monster Mash.
Don't give it away.
it is a Monster Mash, but it's funny you mentioned Monster Mash. We do have a song that sounds like the Monster Mash, just way darker and weirder.
Just waiting.
I mean, I don't know, like my one of my coworkers the other day, like I guess on Pandora or whatever, had like Halloween radio playing, and he was like playing like Purple People Eater
Yeah.
and stuff, and like so a lot of those silly Halloween songs just they're fun to bring around at this time of year, you know, and imagine somebody taking a cover or making it, you know, their own version of it and
Yeah.
stuff, like would be fun to hear something like that, to hear a darker version of Monster
That's not a
Mash
bad
or
idea.
Yeah.
Well, I was
or
gonna say
something,
I want to start playing children's parties.
To give just a little hint of the song, the cover we're gonna do, it's about a witch. I
Yeah.
will just say that.
right.
The song is about a witch.
But my friends do they're Sophisticated Babies. They're a tuba and ukulele duo, and usually they do more adult shows and feature some songs that aren't really family appropriate. And but they did a children. I saw them do a children's show the other day, and it made me laugh really hard because they're doing like all like. They did like a whole section of like TV theme songs. They did like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like,
That's cool.
like Saved by the Bell and whatever, like all these different. So anyway, it was just funny. Like it was really quick because a lot of those are only like maybe a minute or
Right,
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
30 seconds to a minute.
You have to have
Yeah.
a million songs
Right,
to do
but
that kind of
it
thing.
was-
You know Less Than Jake?
I was just gonna say, Less Than
Jake
Jake
did
put
an
out
album.
a whole album
Yeah.
of just TV
Yeah.
theme songs,
Yeah,
and
it
it
was
was
great.
like 15 minutes long. The whole album.
I saw them at Warped Tour the year they put that out.
Me too.
And
Were
they-
you there?
Yeah.
Oh man, we were in the same crowd.
That was before we actually knew each other.
That was my first Warped Tour.
Oh, wow. They played all 15 minutes of those like TV themes.
I think they were just here like a week or two ago. or
Yeah, they
something.
were.
Yeah, they're always around.
Yeah, they were. First time I saw them, there was a circle pit, and in the middle of the circle pit, they were shaving people's heads into mohawks.
Perfect.
It was awesome.
In the middle of the skank pit.
Yeah, I was just saying, in the middle of a skank pit. That's a very ska thing. Every year, I obviously last year was the last Warped Tour, and I did go to it. But like every year that I went to
What
Warped
do you
Tour,
mean last one?
the last traveling one.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
I always made a point to go see the ska bands. So like last year, I went and saw Real Big Fish for probably the last time, unless they come here.
They come. Yeah, they come through quite a bit. Usually play the pageant with somebody and.
They're always fun.
Yeah,
the
I
Urge.
saw them. I saw Real Big Fish when it's like very very early on when Ballpark Village opened up,
Yeah.
and they played there. And I don't think they must have not have done any of their homework when they booked them, but because there was like zero security down on the floor or anything.
Oh my
That's a
God.
mistake.
And then all of a sudden, they start playing, and the skank pit, like you mentioned, starts going crazy. People are just going nuts down there, and they immediately, I saw people the security that was around upper deck, and so they're all like, we gotta get, they start
gotta get down there.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we need to call some people who are off work today.
so they all ran down there and tried to control the crowd because the people were just having fun, but they obviously in that kind of setting they wanted to make sure people
Yeah,
didn't,
no fun
get out of
there.
hand.
That room
Yeah.
smelled
No,
great.
no
Yeah.
fun.
It probably smelled like weed and foot sweat.
Right.
Knowing a ska show.
Just filled with lights.
It's weird that you mentioned. So not that long ago at Ballpark Village, Bone Thugs and Harmony played,
Yeah.
and I was so upset that I didn't go to that.
I saw them live not long ago, and it was like I've seen them twice, pretty close to each other, like a year or two apart or something like that. And the only thing, my only critique was that they did the exact same set list and
Oh, yeah.
same beats, it was verbatim the exact same show, and so still sounded great, but it is it would have been nice to have some different beats to it and mix it up a
Yeah.
little bit and
I saw.
They're busy, man. They
yeah.
got a
I
lot
saw
to
Black
do.
Keys recently when they were here. I didn't go for Black Keys.
Black Keys and
I
Modest
went. I went
Mouse.
for Modest Mouse because I hadn't seen them,
Yeah.
and they're one of my favorite bands. But I'd seen Black Keys when they were here at Shafitz, it was a while ago when they were on the El Camino tour, and essentially the set list was the exact same, except for replacing deep cuts from El Camino. It was their new album, and I was like, well, I kind of saw the same show already, just without the new album songs. So
Yeah, they definitely
I was a little
stuck.
disappointed.
They definitely stuck to Brothers. It was very heavy on Brothers, that record, which was one of my favorite albums.
Yeah.
So
It was a great album.
Yeah.
That and Rubber Factory are probably my two favorite Black Keys records.
But yeah, it was a good show. I had fun with that.
Yeah, but I was all about seeing Modest Mouse because I'm a huge
Because
Modest Mouse fan.
great.
Yeah.
Modest Mouse and
Great.
Modest Mouse, AFI, and Brand New are the three bands that opened me up musically to other
Sure.
things. My buddy Alex bought me Lonesome Crowded West on CD, sophomore, junior year of high school, and I was just like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then so, like since then I got like way into indie rock for a long time and stuff like that, and that just kind of like opened me up, like those three bands. But it was awesome seeing them.
Nice.
And then Alex was with me, so it was like full circle. It was cool.
Well, let's drop in one more, and this is you guys said an exclusive.
Yeah, we're not going to release this as a single before we drop our first EP.
So you're only going to get it right here on Rock Paper Podcast. But this song is called Sixth Day Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm. Ben, do you want to talk about the title of the song? Because it comes from you.
No.
No? You don't?
It doesn't mean anything. It's just a reference. There's a line in the song that says, "I'm still feeling like there's a secret chord that I might please the Lord," and that is a reference to Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. Mm-hmm. And so we named it Sixth Day Hallelujah because of that, and the fact that
It sounds
six
cool.
is the devil's number, and it sounds cool.
It just sounded cool.
6 is the.
So Sixth Day Hallelujah as a Leonard Cohen reference.
It's another song definitely lyrically that's just like about dealing with personal issues, just a way of kind of getting things out. Just kind of a therapeutic kind of
It's definitely my favorite song to play live, I think.
I've thought that too. Every time
really?
we never
Yeah,
we don't really talk about that song much, but like whenever we play it, it feels really good. I'm
got a good reaction.
I'm happy
too.
with that song.
It's a lot of fun to play.
Well, and also the recorded version of it, it's synthy,
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of Depeche Mode, like Violator
That's
era.
what I'm saying, that 80s.
Depeche Mode, like
New
very
wave,
dark
yeah.
Depeche Mode era.
Yeah, we rip off a lot of people.
Where are we recording at? Where you guys?
Right here in this room.
We record a lot in this room, and also we record at
In the
Ryan's a lot.
basement.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
actually,
Jordan's got a coal chute in the basement of this apartment that I record my vocals in, or in the
closet at Ryan's.
Yeah.
Ryan lives on Harvest Moon Court,
Hell yeah.
so we jokingly call Ryan's house.
Give away my address.
We jokingly call Ryan the studio the court of the Harvest Moon Studios.
Which is
So
hilarious because of the video game. It's my favorite game from childhood, Harvest Moon. Check it out. Yeah.
Free advertising, Namco.
we record. We do all of our own recording.
Nice.
Yeah, we don't. We do it all DIY. We don't send it to anybody. We do all the.
We can't afford that.
Right.
We do all the pre-production, engineering, producing, mastering, mixing, all of it.
That's the
So everything
crazy-
that sounds good, you can praise us, and everything that sounds bad, you can blame us.
Nobody
Thanks,
else's
Apple.
fault but us.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people have been shocked that we recorded a lot of these songs on my phone.
On an iPhone, yeah. Everything that we've done so far has been recorded on an iPhone.
No one's
which
believed us.
We've
When you
gotten
sent me
lucky.
the demos, I couldn't I was like, this is recorded on a fucking phone. That's yeah.
Technology,
Yeah.
baby.
It is a bitch sometimes to move that fader and the slider on a touch screen that's 4 inches long, but
I get so pissed.
it happened.
I'm just sitting there. I'm like, fuck the whole goddamn thing so many times, and I just get pissed.
Jordan sits in the closet for like an hour after we're done, just by himself, just mixing.
It's awful. I hate every second of it.
Well,
It's worth it.
yeah, it's working. Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad to hear that everything's going well with that, and the music's continuing to come out, and we got and recording and all that stuff. But you said you are working on releasing all this as an EP, or
Yeah, we have 6 songs.
We've got something like that. Yeah, we have gone back and forth for the last year about whether or not we want to do an album or an EP. Like we said, we've got a lot of recorded material right now, not necessarily totally finished, but that's fine. You can just go away. We're just in the middle of an interview. We've got a lot of recorded material, but we
Yeah.
kind of
Honed in on like 12 songs. Because we initially were like hell bent on an album.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about, like, it seems like in today's consumer culture of music, like, people prefer singles. People prefer to be able to listen to one track, and you know, they're not going to sit down and listen to a whole album. That's just not how it works anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we were like, we need to put out a few singles, get people's attention, and then maybe put out like a 5 or 6 track EP, just to see where things go from there, like kind of build up a repertoire that way. Like I would love to put out a whole album with a concept and all that shit.
I would say
like,
the old school aspect
Yeah,
of us would love to
yeah.
do it. And also just the aspect of us like, well, we don't really care.
sure.
yeah, but you can, but
you have to care.
yeah, for us to do this in the way that we want to, and I mean, I think we're all trying to build a real like career out of this, kind of.
Sure.
Yeah, you got to follow the market, and so yeah, I think we've got maybe 5 or 6 tracks that we're gonna try and put out in an EP like by the beginning of next year, maybe. But
Well, it'll probably, honestly,
It'll
if we
be-
just actually sit down, I mean, we're going to play some shows in November. Obviously, we're going to play shows every month, but we'll have, like, obviously some downtime in between.
yeah,
And that's how we usually just
it's like
finish songs.
75% done.
It is 75% done. We just need to record vocals on 2 songs,
Right.
Is that it?
basically. I think so.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you though. I feel like, especially as a new band starting out, I feel like that's a good approach. Like I said, to get a couple of singles going, put in with an EP or however. But I feel like I'd rather like a band hold back. Like even if you have enough material for the record, I'd rather it be split into 2 EPs and hit them with that and keep content coming out.
Right.
Instead
Yeah.
of like working a year on a record and then sitting quiet for another year as you're
Yeah,
working on
Yeah.
making
the
sure that you keep getting to people.
Right.
and
Yeah, because people
Yeah.
are gonna
Staying
end
in
up
the public
forgetting
eye.
about you at
That's
some
something
point.
we've talked about, too, is doing just 2 EPs and really, like, not worrying about
Sure.
thinking of the album format.
Yeah.
Right.
we're all vinyl nerds anyway, so we love sitting down and just listening to records that are like an hour long.
And that doesn't.
During college, we used to sit down and just do vinyl nights every single week.
Sure.
Where we'd like pick 2 vinyl each.
Well, you can still do that too. Like you do the 2 EPs, like digital release only, and then maybe press it all to a record.
Sure.
And have
That's
Could
true.
do that at some
So,
point.
yeah.
Well, I was curious as far as, since you see a lot of local bands. I mean, like, how do you see a lot of people doing things like as far as like releasing music?
I
And,
mean,
like,
it's pretty much that. I mean, like everybody's just hitting with singles and stuff. I mean, maybe a digital release and things. Sometimes CDs still people, but I think a lot of people are kind of getting in more into vinyl, like for physical products and stuff.
Yeah.
Doing either-
Well, it outsold
Plus,
CDs.
they last the longest.
Sure.
CDs do not last
Yeah.
at all.
yeah.
But I mean, for affordability, like a lot of people go with still with CDs, do a limited run, maybe just to have something on the table. But
A lot of people do cassette tapes that way too.
Yeah,
A lot of
and,
people are going to go back to that, especially
Sure.
hardcore
Cassette
bands.
tapes, though. I would rent a cassette tape and like
A lot of hardcore bands and death metal bands, black metal bands
That's
too.
true,
Do
yeah, you always see
cassette tape
cassettes there.
runs because
Yeah.
it's cheap.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than vinyl, but
right.
like vinyl's cheaper than doing like mass produced like real release.
But
so.
it's fun to just still to have that physical product of some sort on the table and
It
stuff.
is,
instead
To just
of-
be able to hold that and be
Yeah.
like, I made this. Like
Right.
I was a part of. Yeah. It's
Well,
really
a lot of
cool.
people have like the collector's mindset. I don't know if you do. Like, do you collect anything?
I mean, I've got a big vinyl collection myself. I try
Yeah.
to support as many as I can on. A lot of my friends are supporting, vinyl, so it's like it's great when I go to their shows and they have the vinyl record. So
Yeah.
Vinyl's just like it's so cool.
It is.
Like there's something about
It just
vinyl
feels
record.
better. It just
Going back
it's just
to that
warm.
original
There's
music.
yeah.
And like,
There's also
feeling like you're back in the time where music is an actual, like
Commodity.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, and the thing about vinyl too, for me, is it's more of an experience than just consuming.
You have
a
to
product.
interact with the music. You have to
Yeah.
like.
Exactly.
It
you
forces
have
you
to
to sit
flip
down and
that
listen to the whole
record
thing.
over.
'cause
Yeah, you gotta
Exactly.
take
You wouldn't
care
just
of
put
it.
a
You gotta put it
record on
on.
a
You have to pay
turntable.
attention to it. You have to like be
Yeah.
there in
and
the
like
room
skip
with
to
it.
one song.
Yeah.
And that's why we
Start from the
started
beginning.
doing vinyl night too, is because like we would buy like these records that we didn't really know very well at just record stores like
Planet Score. Check out Planet Score.
yeah, big plug for Planet Score. We're all huge. We go there all the time.
yeah,
And we just started buying records, and we were like, this is something I wanted to get into, but like my stupid short-term like attention span doesn't allow it. So we would force ourselves and do it, and we would do vinyl night every Friday night while we were in college, pretty much. And then we would sit down and listen to 2 records a piece, and that's how we got into a lot of the bands. I mean,
And that definitely influenced us. I think like
Yeah.
that was definitely part of our musical growth.
yeah, absolutely. And
do you have one that sticks out as like the biggest surprise that you didn't know about and that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Peru Raha.
Oh well, there's that too, yeah. But there also, I think the record that I can point to that started this for at least the 3 of us
I think I know
was
what you're gonna say.
Phantasmagoria by the Damned. So the Damned, for those who don't know, and you should know the Damned are one of the earliest punk bands. They're from the 70s, and they're from the UK. They started as basically just like a snotty British punk band, and growing through the years, the lead singer Dave Vanyan, he was an Undertaker, and he just started to get more and more gothic. And at one point, they went full goth, and their album Phantasmagoria, like really, really,
Great album.
It's so good. I actually have it still on the record, my record player right over there.
Did you discover them through Vinyl Night? Like you didn't know who they were before you bought their record?
I knew who the Damned was because I knew like New Rose and Smash It Up, but like I didn't know like their deep cut stuff, like anything else. And then we heard Phantasmagoria, and actually it's funny. So the 3 of us were driving up to Nebraska to the Stone Meadow of Doom festival, which was an all stoner and doom metal festival that they held in Omaha. So this is when I was living on South Grand. You came and recorded a podcast with us there.
Yeah.
When I was in Traveler. The Victorian house that I lived in. They came over the night before, the night. We got up, ate breakfast, and we drove there. And we each picked 2 albums to listen to on the way there. And Phantasmagoria was one of the albums we picked. and we were listening to it while we were driving. We're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. So we were driving there, and we were just like, and this was when it was still on Spotify. Unfortunately, it's not at the moment, but we were driving there, and we were just like, this is amazing. Wouldn't it be cool if we did music like this? And like all these years later, we're finally doing music like that, but like our own version of it. So that honestly, I can point to that as being like a huge influence on us. But Ryan, please tell the story about the record that you bought, the unnamed record.
Oh, like 5 minutes ago when I was like, hey, rah.
Yeah,
okay.
Tell that story, because that's actually a really interesting
So a lot of times when we buy records, we won't even know like what we're buying. We'll just see something cool on the shelf, and we'll just buy it based on the artwork itself. And this has just some like Egyptian hieroglyphic some kind of like weird satanic symbol on the cover, and that's it. And it says Heru Raha on it. So I'm like, this looks fucking great. I'm gonna buy this. It's only $3.
It's $3. Why not?
Go home and listen to it immediately. So we put it on, and
we came back here.
Yeah, we came back here, and I think most records play at 33 and a third RPM, and so that's what we were playing it on. And little did we know that this one plays at 45.
Yeah, because we'd listen to like an Elton John record or something.
Something like that, yeah.
So then Ryan put that on.
So we put that on, so it's playing it like super slowed down. So, but we couldn't even tell. We were just like, oh, this is like some like old doom band from the 70s. And it starts out with a cover of Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song.
Which we didn't realize for like the first minute.
And if you know that song, it starts out with that crazy vocal passage like, oh, ah. And so on this one, it just sounds like, whoa. It just sounds epic and amazing. We're like, what the fuck is that? What have I just bought? This is amazing. And then it's like, come from the land of the ice. Oh, this is Led Zeppelin. We're playing it wrong. But every time we put it on now, we slow it down to listen to it like that.
Yeah. And
that's how good it sounds.
It's some weird band. We've only found like one video of them.
Yeah.
From like
super hard to find.
80s.
We should talk about our name too and how that because that ties in.
Oh yeah, that ties into Planet Score.
Yeah.
So for a long time, when we initially started, we called ourselves Lyric, right?
Lyric was
Burials
That was the very
and
first
Lyric.
Burials.
That's what.
That they're already a band.
And Burials was already a band, but we named ourselves after like the super goth rock AFI album, and then they were already a band, which we didn't know. And then it was one of the ads that Planet Score put on Facebook of like records they have, and it was
You were I thought you were there. I thought you found it there. When
Did
you
I?
were looking through stuff. Yeah, because you sent us a photo of it and you were like, look at this cool ass record that I found. And
it might have been. You remember better than I do. You should tell it because I don't remember.
so according to my memory, Jordan he finds this record while he's shopping one day, and it's called The Cult Sound. It's called Cult Sounds, not The Cult Sounds. That's our name. It's called Cult
Yeah,
Sounds.
it was just Cult Sound.
And it's a vinyl pressing of recordings of people like Anton LaVey, Jim Jones, some famous kind of occult and cult leaders speaking to their congregation. And we were just like, oh my god, that's like it's so cool. It's so like creepy and weird, and it's like right up our alley. And that just when we were looking for a name, we were like, Cult Sounds, like that's cool. Like that's what we
very
are.
cool.
Yeah. So we're named. It's very rare. Apparently, it's pressed by some like a relatively unknown publisher in Australia. I wish I could remember the name right now.
Yeah.
But
We've been trying to find that record ever since because I stupidly didn't buy it.
yeah.
And it was like $9, but then
Yeah.
like, we found it online and it's super expensive.
Yeah,
online.
it's very hard to find, but yeah, so we kind
So
of
we took the Cult Sounds. We just kind of modified it a little bit.
With the.
With the and then adding.
Kind of makes it a double entendre. It's like the Cult Sounds or the Cult Sounds.
Yeah,
like the cult
Verb or
like
noun.
sounding off as
So then that directly spread to a lot of our aesthetic and imagery, and also our catchphrase that every like social media post that we do, spread the word, join the cult. So like we kind of have like a thing for it, and that like
we do have a thing.
It's fun. It's fun because like a lot of like bands in St. Louis, they don't have like a theatrical like visual aesthetic, really, And like
that's something that we definitely like. We feel really strongly about is bringing that back. Is like that we feel like the rock show is kind of dead. Like people, it doesn't seem. You go to see a band and
on the local level at least.
Definitely, yeah. But I mean, even on a major, I mean, national touring level, you see a lot of bands that are just like, you know, it's just jeans and t-shirts. They come up there, they play their songs, and that's it. There's not really a theatrical aspect of it like there used to be. You go see like Alice Cooper or like Aerosmith or somebody like that back like especially in the 70s. Marilyn Manson, fuck yeah. Like there was a show aspect to it, and we want to do that. We want to bring that back and kind of entertain people in a way that's not. I mean, the music is obviously the most important aspect of it, but to come there and see this show that like you couldn't see somewhere else, I think that's.
We haven't even scratched the surface on like how far we want to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. In fact, today, I mean, like Monday we performed, and we all had like stage outfits and costumes that we wore, and also we had like these candles that you guys had made, Olivia and Ben had made with these heads, and like there's like an aspect of that, and we all had like our own like outfits that we wore, and we had a smoke machine and stuff like that, and we all wore makeup, and we all had like our own different color as far as like the eye makeup we wore, so we had like a little bit of personality to each of us. But like we talked about it today, and we're just adding more and more layers to our visual aesthetic. There actually, we were talking about this
Don't ruin it
before we got on the podcast about Joe Rogan. But Rob Zombie was on Joe Rogan podcast a couple weeks ago promoting his new movie, and he was talking about the old White Zombie days. And he was saying something to the effect of like, you know, back when they were a noise punk band playing with like Sonic Youth and shit at CBGB's, he was like, you know, you can come see us. We might suck, but at least we're gonna give you something to look at.
Yeah.
Like at least we know our music doesn't suck.
Yeah.
You know, at least we don't. But like we're gonna give you something to look at.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
We want to be that whole package.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of bands in St. Louis do that, where they have like a visual aesthetic. At least I can't think of any.
Yeah.
There's some that have like a cool like live show where they're obviously like energetic and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's really good bands around. Like, not to say that at all, but no, you don't see a lot of like full show, full performance, like theatrical kind of stuff. That
be weirdos.
I miss that. I want that.
Yeah, then that's kind of
so
what
we kind of feel like we need to do that.
Yeah. Well, that's how a lot of those bands grew too. Is like people were just like, you got to come see this. Like, you got to.
Well, you like
this.
Kiss in the 70s.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a huge example.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
The Kiss in the mid to late 70s, they were the biggest band in the world because
then they tried to take
that.
the makeup off, and everybody's like, no.
Yeah, that didn't work. Put it back on.
Like,
Put it back on. And also, your songs suck now.
Oh my God, Gene is ugly.
Can you play Black Diamond again? Don't play Lick It Up, please.
Well, come out October 20th and see what we're talking about. Come be a part of the show. Again, that's at Foam on the October 20th with Gary, Robert in the community, and Bellhead.
Yeah, show starts at 9.
Gonna be a fun night.
Yeah.
So.
Yes,
Definitely.
Foam's a great little spot too. Come on, support them.
I've never played a show there.
Yeah, I've
never actually seen a show there.
I've seen a couple shows there.
Yeah, there's I've done probably more comedy shows than I have music shows there, but yeah, it's a great venue and
It's very intimate.
Yeah.
I hope we
Band,
can all
too.
fit in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 6 people
six
in the
of
band.
us,
Two
yeah.
of us are gonna be on stage.
I'll be
I
knocking
swear,
people's
and then-
coffee over with my guitar.
but
Great.
But yeah, and also get involved again on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to over there. So.
Yeah.
We're not very active on our own Twitter, so
You can follow us.
You can follow us. I don't care. We don't really do much shit on there. So really, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and then follow us on Apple Music and Spotify.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's where
yeah,
we do most of our promotions.
for sure. Well, and keep an eye out for Halloween.
Yeah.
New music coming soon.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. It's been a ton of fun getting to hang, and appreciate
Thanks,
y'all doing
Shane.
this.
Yeah. Thanks
for having us
coming
on.
It was great.
All right.
Seriously.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You just had to get the last word.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast.
Well, yeah, that was it.